The autumn wind swept across Hillcrest University, carrying the scent of pine, coffee, and the distant sound of laughter from the courtyard. The campus, a blend of brick buildings and modern glass towers, looked like a dream, or at least that's what Jordan Miles had thought when he first got accepted. But standing there now, suitcase in hand, watching students greet each other with effortless smiles, he felt something else entirely, the quiet heaviness of being an outsider. Jordan had grown up in Atlanta, a city buzzing with rhythm and soul, where every corner store knew his mother's name. Here in Massachusetts, everything felt polished, polite, even, but underneath the politeness was a subtle chill that had nothing to do with the weather. As he entered the student center, eyes darted his way, not in hostility, more like curiosity. He noticed clusters of students grouped by familiarity. The white athletes in their hoodies, the Nigerian students laughing in Igbo, and a handful of black Americans scattered across the room, mostly keeping to themselves. A girl behind the registration table smiled. "Hi there. Name, Jordan Miles," he said. She scanned her list. "Room 312, Kingsley Hall. You're a political science major. Yeah, nice. You'll love Professor Donnelly's class. He's intense, but fair." Jordan smiled politely and nodded, but her eyes lingered a little too long. That mixture of friendliness and subtle fascination that said you're different, but interesting. In his dorm room, he found his new roommate unpacking, a tall, athletic Nigerian student with a broad smile. "Hey, you must be Jordan. I'm Tope Adewale. From Lagos." Jordan dropped his bag. "Nice to meet you, man." "Same here, bro. I heard you're from Atlanta, right? I've got cousins there. Crazy traffic." Tope laughed, his accent thick and melodic. Jordan grinned. "You're not lying." The first few days were a blur of introductions, syllabi, and awkward icebreakers. Jordan quickly noticed an invisible pattern forming, like magnets repelling and attracting in predictable ways. The white students stuck with each other, the Nigerians had their circle, and black Americans like Jordan often drifted between groups, not fully belonging to either. In the dining hall, he once overheard a Nigerian student say, "These black Americans, they act like we're the same, but they don't even know their roots." Laughter followed. Jordan froze mid-step, the words stinging sharper than he expected. He wanted to turn around, to ask what that even meant, but he didn't. He just walked on, pretending not to hear. Later that evening, he sat on the dorm rooftop with Tope. The city lights twinkled below. "You okay, man?" Tope asked, sensing his quiet. Jordan hesitated. "Do you ever feel like people already made up their mind about you?" Tope chuckled lightly. "All the time. Back home, they think we're all geniuses here. Here, they think we're just lucky to be here." Jordan nodded slowly. "Yeah, except some of your friends. They think we're lost." Tope looked surprised, then guilty. "Who said that?" Jordan shrugged. "Doesn't matter." There was a silence between them, heavy, but honest. Classes started, and Jordan tried to focus. Professor Donnelly's lectures were fiery, often about race, class, and power. But one discussion changed everything. "Racism," Donnelly said one morning, "isn't just hatred. It's structure. It's who gets believed, who gets hired, who gets heard." A hand shot up, a blonde student named Megan. "But isn't racism mostly gone now? I mean, we had Obama." Laughter rippled through the room. Jordan felt a familiar burn rise in his chest. He raised his hand. "With respect, that's like saying hunger's gone because someone ate lunch." The room went still. Donnelly smiled faintly. "Well said, Mr. Miles." But later, as they filed out, Megan muttered just loud, "Enough." Of course he'd say that. Jordan stopped. "Excuse me." She blinked innocently. Nothing. That, nothing, followed him the rest of the day. By mid-semester, Jordan had begun volunteering at a campus organization called Unity, meant to bridge racial and cultural divides. It was run by a Nigerian graduate student named Amaka, who believed, conversations change everything. The irony wasn't lost on him. People barely wanted to talk about anything real. One evening, during a Unity forum, tensions exploded. A Nigerian student claimed that Black Americans complain too much about racism, while not appreciating how much better America is than Africa. Jordan's jaw clenched. "You think better means equal?" he asked. The room went silent. Amaka tried to mediate, but the divide was clear. Two groups, both scarred by history, staring at each other across an invisible line. That night, Jordan sat alone in his dorm, scrolling through social media. News headlines screamed about police shootings and protests. His heart ached. For his people, for the world, for the distance even among those who should be united. Tope knocked softly. "Still up?" "Yeah." Tope came in and sat on the bed. "About earlier? I get why you're angry. Sometimes we don't understand your side. Back home, we think racism is just what we see on the news. We don't live it." Jordan looked up. "And we think Africa's just villages and drums. I guess ignorance goes both ways." Tope smiled faintly. "Maybe this friendship will fix that." Jordan laughed. "One step at a time." Outside, the campus lights glowed against the night sky, different colors blending together. For the first time since arriving, Jordan felt a quiet spark of hope. By November, the campus air had turned sharp and cold. Leaves crunched underfoot as students hurried across the quad, bundled in scarves and hoodies. But beneath the crisp calm of autumn, tension brewed quietly, in classrooms, in cafeterias, in the silence between unspoken thoughts. Jordan noticed it first in the small things. The way people hesitated before sitting next to him in the library. The subtle pause when he answered a question in class and eyes flicked to each other before nodding politely. The moments that weren't loud enough to call out, but heavy enough to weigh him down. One afternoon, Professor Donnelly assigned a group project on cultural representation in media. The students would choose a movie or show and analyze how race was portrayed. Jordan was grouped with Megan Asterisk, the blonde girl from earlier, and Tunde Asterisk, a Nigerian sophomore studying computer science. The irony wasn't lost on him. When they met in the library, Megan tapped her pen impatiently. "So, what movie are we doing?" "I was thinking The Blind Side. It shows how people can come together regardless of race." Jordan raised an eyebrow. "You mean the one where a rich white lady saves a poor black kid?" Megan blinked. "Well, yeah. Isn't that inspiring?" "It's more like a savior complex," he replied. "You ever seen Get Out?" Tunde chuckled. "That one scared me, bro. But I get your point." Megan sighed. "I just don't see why everything has to be about race all the time." Jordan leaned back, exhaling slowly. "Maybe because it is." The tension in the group became palpable. They finished the project with polite exchanges, but Jordan could feel Megan's discomfort, her quiet resistance to seeing what she didn't want to see. A week later, during their presentation, Jordan spoke last. "Greater than representation isn't just what we see," he told the class. "It's what we don't see. Who gets left out, who gets silenced. Racism isn't always loud. Sometimes it's in the stories we tell ourselves about who belongs where." When he finished, the room was silent. A few students clapped softly. Donnelly nodded approvingly, but Megan's smile was tight, forced. After class, she cornered him near the door. "You made me sound ignorant in front of everyone." Jordan stared at her. "I didn't say your name. You didn't have to." She walked off, her face flushed with anger. Tunde lingered behind, awkwardly. "Bro, maybe she didn't mean harm." Jordan gave him a long look. "That's the problem, man. It's never asterisk meant as harm." By the time finals approached, Unity held another forum, this one called Bridging Blackness, African and African American Conversations. Amaka had insisted that Jordan help co-host. He agreed, though reluctantly. The auditorium filled quickly. Nigerian students came in groups, chatting loudly. Black American students came more